What's going on, everyone? It's Mitch from RespectMyRegion.com, back with another episode of the Digital Trapper Institute, DTI, joined by co-host today, Joey Brabo. What's up, Joey?
Yo, good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Checking in live. Let's go.
We're getting it in. Oh, he left immediately. We'll see. He's probably about to bounce back in. We'll give it 1 second. He did the check-in to check out. The check-in to check out real quick.
Come on, man. Technical difficulties, but on purpose.
I'm clocking in to clock right off. Anyways, today we're going to go over 10 tips for marketing cannabis in the United States and Canada. We have an article and a press release running on these same things here shortly later today. So we're going to go over them on this episode of DTI. DTI is where we're bringing digital marketing game for the cannabis and music industries, talking tips, tricks. Some of it's 101 level for those people that are just curious, looking to learn, understand the basics of concepts, and then we go a little bit more in depth on some of them. Today's going to be kind of overview of 10 different tips or 10 different tools, if you will, to use for marketing cannabis in the US and Canada, with a little bit of insight on each one. If anybody wants us to go more in depth on these, request an episode on a specific topic within one of these, or just some questions you want to talk one-on-one or offline, our inboxes are always open, info@respectmyregion.com, or reach out to Joey or myself on LinkedIn. So I'm going to run through the 10 topics, and then we're going to give a brief little discussion on each point, but we're going to run through the 10. The first, SEO; second, Google My Business; third, Weed Maps; fourth, Leafly; fifth, TikTok; six, YouTube; seven, Facebook; eight, Instagram; nine, text message / SMS; and 10, email. So out of those 10, Joey, before we get into each topic, which ones are your kind of favorite or more, all of these are important. In a perfect world, you're watering and putting sunlight on all of these, but which ones are kind of the ones that stand out to you as your favorites?
Man, I personally love grabbing a phone book, calling up 10,000 numbers hand by hand, and just wasting my life away doing that, bro. That's my absolute favorite way. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Um, Obviously, the most important one for all these companies, I'd say 98%. Yeah, we'll go 98% of the time is going to be Weed Maps or Google, depending on the state that you're in. All due respect to Leafly, but they do not have the same impact on cannabis businesses as Weed Maps does. Not even close in California. It's like astronomically different. But on the same respect, it's also the same flip. Leafly is Washington, whereas Weed Maps has no penetration up there. So with the exception of those two places being back, that's Leafly's back. What is it? Backyard, and Weed Maps' backyard is this whole state. I'd say the most important one, and by far the one I care the most about, is Google. Right? We here at Respect My Region, because we write so many articles and we make so many videos, we particularly care about the search engine optimization and their ability for your company's ability to be discovered on these platforms. We care more about that than almost everything else.
Yep, and I would echo that for myself as well. What I prioritize the most is SEO, including on-site optimization. And if you're a dispensary or delivery company, Google My Business for sure. If you're a brand, obviously Google My Business has a lot less value in that realm. And I'll say once you have assets or customers, obviously SMS and email is super key. I just always try and put the differentiation. When we talk about marketing and advertising, people are always like, email and SMS is the best. And it's like, yes, if you have a customer list. If you don't, it doesn't do shit for you. It's like having a car with no gas in it, or a Ferrari with no gas in it. It's like, yeah, it's a really dope looking car, but it sits in my driveway and I don't even get to stun on anyone. My least favorite, and I've been always vocal about this, is Instagram. Everyone in this industry puts so much emphasis and priority on Instagram. The platform does not love us. I do not know why we continually trying to take it out on a date. It's never going to give, well, it's not never. It might give you some play, but it's a complete crapshoot, man. But I definitely think SEO and Google My Business are the most important. So with that being said, starting with SEO, a big part of SEO is there's some technical aspects of it, some on-site optimization, page speed, user experience. Terry asked a question here about backlinks. And so, SEO backlinks have a part of SEO. And then also something that, Joey and I are obviously very, very big on is regularly publishing unique content on your website. I don't think enough people talk about that. I honestly say not even enough SEO agencies talk about it. And I'm not bashing any particular one. We've worked with a lot. They're all great. But a lot of SEO agencies, SEO is a great reoccurring monthly check for someone to optimize your site and then kind of do little tweaks in there. And then they take a monthly check because you don't really understand what's going on. And it's easy money for them to scale out that business without regularly, like what is difficult is regularly publishing unique content that takes actual time. It takes labor, it takes research, it takes understanding. Not a lot of people do that in-house, and honestly, not even a lot of agencies do that in-house or even prioritize it.
Not in cannabis.
No, especially not in cannabis. And it's just, you know, SEO is basically being intentional of the signals that you are sending to Google. When you search a search query, what are the results that come up and what are those ranks? And there's certain signals that weigh, again, your sites, your page authority, some back end stuff on your site, some backlinks. All these things have value, but also regularly publishing content tells Google, hey, this is not just a website. This is an active website that is actively giving information on a regular reoccurring basis. That matters to Google, and it also gives you a lot of opportunities to rank for keywords. Your homepage is only going to rank for so many keywords. If you have blog posts, you technically have infinite, or blog posts, new landing pages, you technically have infinite amounts of new keywords to rank for on your website.
Yep. Yep, yeah, that is extremely true, guys. I hope everybody's tapping in here. Make sure y'all like, follow, subscribe, because these tips are extremely valuable. No matter what type of cannabis business you have, this is ultimately, it applies. You can apply it to any restaurants, you can apply it to brands, you can apply it to selling fucking gems and herbs and cats if you want. At the end of the day, it is 100% all about helping your business become more discoverable, touching on the backlinks. When a website like a Respect My Region, or maybe it's terryb.com or peterdunbar.com, when those websites backlink to my site, when they backlink to my dispensary, when they backlink to my delivery, that is a link that allows someone to click it and come to my page. And additionally, because of those signals Mitch was talking about on Google, on YouTube, Google's we'll call it algorithmic scrapes of the internet, when they're always looking to see what websites are performing, which ones are more popular, which ones they should show, all those kinds of things. They ultimately look at all these different signals, and backlinks is a signal, traffic, clicks, or the rates, all the different important analytics that you can think of from a data perspective on social and on web. Google is counting for all those things, and so you want to have the best possible score as possible with in terms of your SEO ranking, your discoverability. So,
and then, building off of SEO, another important part of SEO, Google's the biggest search engine out there. So Google My Business is very important, especially, like I said, if you have a delivery or a dispensary, it's imperative. If you have a brand, it could be a little bit, Google My Business. If you don't have a physical location, a lot of cultivation facilities are not trying to like put the address to their facility on Google Maps for good reasoning. So I understand that there. And when you're searching for a brand, when you're searching, Google My Business really has value when you have a physical location that you want customers to bring to. So that's two different things. You might have a physical location, but if you don't want customers coming there, then Google My Business has no value for you. But if you have a delivery or a dispensary and you want to be discovered, not only more or higher discoverability on Google, but also discoverability on Google Maps. And also, Google's algorithm, when you search for something, it doesn't just want to share, it wants to share the best results according to what you search. It has an algorithm, a computer trying to figure that out. And proximity and location matter in that. And that's where Google My Business has value. And so some of the ways to optimize that is making sure your name represents your business right. There's something called keyword stuffing. If your company is Joey's Dispensary and you put it on Google My Business as Joey's Weed, Cannabis, and Pot Dispensary, you might get away with that. You might get flagged. If that's not how you're representing your business, Google doesn't want you to stuff the keywords on there. But there's always bonus points if Joey's Dispensary was Joey's Dispensary and Weed Euphorium, Uporium, if that was the name of his business, he would be rewarded greatly on Google My Business, because that's actually the name of his business. And there's kind of keywords stuffed into the business title. In general, but also beyond just having the title, another thing that matters on Google My Business is making sure you get reviews. Every customer that comes in, hey, make sure to review us on Google. As Joey mentioned earlier, regionally, Weed Maps or other places might be worth it, but anywhere you're at in this country, you should definitely prioritize getting reviews on Google My Business. And it helps, honestly, rather than saying, hey, review us here or here or here. If you give people too many options, they're likely not going to do it. If you give them real stupid proof, simple, hey, make sure to go on Google, give us a 5-star review, we'll give you 10% off your next purchase. That is a very dedicated, clear, concise call to action that could help boost your discoverability on Google My Business.
We've got a comment here from Terry. 85% of our web traffic and conversion comes from our Google My Business. Yes, as retailers, people are driving into a city, they're living where they're at, and they're searching dispensary near me, dispensary deals, best weed, strain. They're literally searching Gelato Santa Cruz. They're searching Blue Dream Spokane. They're searching, we'll call it Joker's 31 New York City or Manhattan. You guys got to understand that people are searching for brand name strains they're familiar to. Let me ask you this question. When you're shopping for shoes, Mitch, you're like, I need some new Nike SBs. Do you go, A, I can't wait to go to the mall to go to this store? Or do you go, oh, I can't wait to buy some Nike SBs. I should check out Nike first and then look up stores around you that sell Nike and that are close and convenient to you, right? So there's a psychology behind purchasing just consumer goods. In America, in our capitalism society, and with all of the technology that we have and all of the resources that we have, the public transportation, every state has different tax situations, all these different things. There are so many different thought processes and psychological processes just to get us into a store or to get us to buy something. And this is where, in today's day and age, you have to think about the whole customer experience. Is it just online? Is it only in person? Is it a combination of both? What is the process for me to discover your business, eventually get into the store, or just get you to deliver to my house? What is that process? And that's where these tips are super huge. Mitch, what do we got next?
Yeah, and two, also on Google My Business, to build off what you were saying, if you look at your Google My Business insights or your Google search console for your website, you can see the actual search queries people are searching to find your business. So even if you're not being super intentional on optimizing your site, you can find these keywords. Like Joey said, maybe it is weed, maybe it's pot, maybe it's dispensary near me, maybe it's weed dispensary, maybe it's cannabis dispensary, maybe it's the Cure Company Curelato, maybe it's Alien Labs Bisconte. It might be these specific products. That is worth taking those keywords and baking them in a natural way in the description on your Google My Business, or giving yourself more options to rank and show up for these terms. If those terms are already bringing traffic to you, that's a good indicator. If you're not even being intentional, to be intentional and double down on it. I just wanted to touch on that. Moving on to the next subject is Weed Maps. As Joey mentioned at the start of this, regionally, it depends on where you're at, is the value of Weed Maps. I will say, like he said, California, Weed Maps is huge. Joey's from the Pacific Northwest where I live. Weed Maps is not that big out here. If you live in, say, if your store is in Capitol Hill or maybe close to the airport, Weed Maps would probably have value for the tourists that are coming from California that are already conditioned to just pick up Weed Maps over Google to find cannabis near them. But the local culture and the local consumers at scale in the Pacific Northwest, they're not using Weed Maps. But in California, it is imperative to, in my opinion, if you're launching a new dispensary or delivery or opening a new location, or really just looking to bring more attention that you're in an area, it is really imperative that you leverage Weed Maps, especially for a few months to build that awareness. You can scale back your spend after that, but I definitely think there's a high value in paying the fee that it is to be on Weed Maps. And I'll say this right before I let Joey talk on this. A lot of people complain about the cost to play on Weed Maps, but I'll just want people to put this in perspective. With the advertising limitations are where they're at, the inability to run Facebook and Instagram ads, Weed Maps is a platform. The only reason someone is on Weed Maps is to find weed. So to be able to pay to put your weed business in front of that narrow of an audience is going to cost a premium. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. So I think people should shift their mindset instead of, oh, weed maps, I have to pay them. Just understand there's very few options where you can put weed in front of people looking for weed.
I mean, at the end of the day, supply and demand, right? You got thousands of people paying for the shit. It don't even matter what your opinion is at the end of the day. This is a business. Remove all your subjective feelings about your business and about this and that and blah, 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 and realize that if you want to win and you want to be around, you want to be sustainable, you want to acquire customers cheaper today than it will be tomorrow, you have to be on Weed Maps. You have to be on Leafly. You have to be winning at Google Maps. Or I'm sorry, yeah, Google Maps, Google My Business, et cetera, et cetera. It's really no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It really comes down to, Mitch, budget, right? How much should you be spending according to your revenue? How much can you afford to invest to acquire people? And strategically, where can you even win? If you have very limited budget, you cannot go head to head with the largest funded companies or the biggest, most successful brands. You have to figure out a way to be strategic, and that's where we come in. So we like to work with the various POS groups and Weed Maps and Leafly to identify a bunch of strategic data points ranging from brands to buy, strains to consider, things to carry. All of the data from the POS companies leads to more intelligent purchasing as a buyer for a dispensary or a delivery service. And so when you leverage the data from those groups and you start purchasing more intelligently and leaning on your brands for marketing resources such as budget, credits, product, swag, all the patient appreciation days, aka vendor days, these promotions in the store. When you start leveraging all of the resources available, including the data to tell you which brands to work with, it just leads to a very, very we'll call volatilely successful situation, because it is extremely saturated in all of these legal states. Weed is, the price of it is dropping across the board. It is more accessible than ever, and the cost of marketing to these brands is not going to get more. It's not going to get more affordable. No matter how many more options become available, there will always be affordable marketing options, but there will always be, we'll call it price appropriate options. And Weed Maps is not overcharging at the end of the day. You guys got to understand, if you want to go list your mansion for sale in Beverly Hills on Zillow, it's about to be a pricey ask. So it's just simple things like that, y'all.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Supply and demand is the root of this. Advertising, content, marketing, it's literally only going to be more competitive and more expensive tomorrow than it is today. So complaining about the price today, thinking the price is going to come down, you're tripping. So moving on from Weed Maps to its distant cousin, both of them probably hate being talked about being related in this way, but Leafly, if you're in California, as Joey said a little bit at the start of this, if you're in California, Leafly has a lot less value to, unless you're in an area where you're getting a fair amount of tourism traffic from states like Washington, where the consumer is already conditioned to use that over Google. There is some benefit if you're in maybe a downtown LA or Venice Beach, a high tourist
any
area.
tourist area. And it's not just, and it's, it's crazy though, is for what Leafly's worth, 10 to 12 million views a month on their website from the strains primarily. When you go into a dispensary in any state, and Washington included, bro, when was the last time you went into a dispensary in Washington, and they were like, "Nah, I don't know what's on my menu. You got to check Leafly."
Yeah, I've never heard
and,
that.
and never became a thing, right? And literally, their menu aspect of it never became a thing like that. Whereas Weed Maps, you go here, you call up 5 stores right now in Cali, and they're going to be like, I can't talk to you about the stuff over the phone. You got to check our Weed Maps. Not even check my website. Just tell you to check their Weed Maps. That's the culture. It's just different. And so Leafly, if anything, has incredible SEO value just to have a profile on there, just to list your dispensary on there for the cheapest, most affordable route. It is an incredible SEO opportunity, especially if you can get a great deal, right? If you can't get a great deal and you're not located in one of these newer states that just went legal, then Leafly is a tough sell for me if it's more than $1,000 to $2,000. Like, at the end of the day, it's a really tough sell for me.
You got to look, the average consumer is using Leafly to find out information on strains. That's, those 10, like you said, 10 to 12 million visitors every month. Like you said, it's primarily strain based. When people
then just education.
Yeah, when people are trying to find the lineage of a strain or the effects, that's what they're going to Leafly for. And then obviously that has the recommended nearby down below, which could have value to brands and dispensaries. But you just have to think the average consumer is going to Leafly to learn, not to purchase, whereas adversely, the average consumer going to Weed Maps is looking to make a purchase. That's the only reason you're on the app.
Yeah. They tried. Leafly tried to sync it. I think, like, when you think about the experience, they've made it as easy as it can be. You know what I'm saying? It is digestible. The content, is very impactful. We're using it on our Step Academy content as a resource. But again, what you just said holds true. Leafly does not curate people that are ready to buy. They curate people looking to learn, and that is different. And that is where Weed Maps, you want to be using that to make sure your business gets in front of purchasers. And Leafly, you want to be positioning your brand. To me, Leafly's better for brands to get the education out there, to push people along the funnel further. And if someone's smart, they'll get them off of Leafly onto their website, or if they're in California, they'll get them off of Leafly onto their Weed Maps. One way or the other, it's a sale here. So what do we got next, Mitch? What's the next category?
Next topic is TikTok, which obviously I'll let you expand on, but is one of the more difficult, one of the newer platforms that has crazy engagement. But, people, again, we're talking about people complain about Instagram. My personal beef with Instagram is the unpredictability, the lack of the line being drawn in the sand or things being black and white. But it is not that friendly to cannabis, yet TikTok is even less friendly to cannabis, but that line, I'd say, is a little bit more easily defined, if you will. So I'll let you expand, because I know TikTok's more your role.
So TikTok, at least for Respect My Region, at first was a reactionary series of tests based on me posting 5 different types of TikToks that I just threw up on our shit, or 3 maybe, or 5. I forget what the number was at first. And then taking maybe 2-hour-long meetings with a TikTok consultant back in early 2020. And it was an interesting, maybe April or May of 2020, because I know we were at the house. We were at this house. And I forget this woman's name, but shout out to her, because she really changed our life. But I remember asking her, and I remember showing her a Nipsey video of, just one of those quotes, when him talking about something powerful. And that shit got 5,000 to 50,000 views. I forget what it got back then. And then so I remember asking her, and be like, yo, so is it really just as simple as, like, okay, this thing got 5,000. Do I, if I just want a bunch of videos with 5,000 or more views, do I just do this? And she said, yes. When you see something hit, do more of it. So what we then took from that commentary was, okay, well, what kinds of content do we want on our site, or on our profile, right? What overlaps with who we're trying to get in front of? What kinds of fans are we trying to acquire? So what kinds of content do they want to see? So at the time, Colin was our head editor, and we really had a couple conversation and some of those, oh shit, holy fuck moments, where as we started getting more and more time and spending more and more time on TikTok, it started showing us more and more things. And as we started doing that kind of curation, like looking for content that was kind of going viral, or that we thought would go viral, we started getting a better understanding of what we might want to create. And from the likes of Nipsey, from the likes of Gary Vee, we saw there's a couple of gentlemen that talk about finances, and there's a gentleman that talks about cryptos, a gentleman that talks about NFTs, a gentleman that talks about finance. All of these people started doing such consistent short form content that we were like, man, we just got to do it. So we started pumping out curated videos, finding podcasts and things like that that had just released, right away, and trying to turn that into something and trying to be first. The blogger method, right? Song comes out, video comes out, content comes out. You want to be first to write about it, to showcase it. So we tried being a part of that. And we really ran a game plan like that for maybe 90 days or so before we continue to optimize it. Now we are creating TikTok content that we know is safe. It's educational. It's dancing. There's original songs and sounds that are trending and going popular on the platform. And so we combine all these different factors to produce original content, and also to curate and recreate other people's content into what we describe as original content. So TikTok, yes, they've got definitely a more visible line in the sand in terms of what does and doesn't work, or what does and doesn't isn't allowed. And so we're really we stress a couple things. Don't smoke in the videos. Don't vape in the videos. Don't show weed packaging in the videos. Don't show nugs and flowers in the videos. Oil is a little bit more, but even still, when you're thinking about like waking up one day and your shit's gone, it's really just not even worth it. So we really only stick to pills, edibles, drinks, box like things inside of boxes is sometimes okay, but yeah, jars with weed inside of it is a no no. We like to have that additional layer of packaging to really make it not clear as to what's inside of it. And we've seen to have better routes that way. And so, yeah, 3 quick tips for TikTok, y'all. Look at what other people are doing. Figure out a way to recreate one of those videos yourself or 5 of those videos yourself so you can get some practice and then start publishing at least 1 a day. I know it takes time and energy to create these things, but that's the point is one of them is going to hit or 5 of them or 20 of them. And the next thing you know, your life is forever changed. And so TikTok is a very powerful tool these days.
You got to shoot your shot. And to the people out there that complain, I can't advertise cannabis the way I would a t-shirt or something else. Well, cannabis is not a t-shirt, whether it's normalized or you care about the stigma or not. The stigma exists. We can cry about it, but those are the rules you have to play in. We all, or not we all, but some of us sold copious amounts of cannabis without access to social media, without ever talking about this shit on a phone, without ever talking about it on a text message. We still were able to converse without actually saying any of the keywords and still transact, buy and sell cannabis for fucking generations. So now having these tools at your disposal, think back to the old days. You could talk about weed in a way that an algorithm doesn't know what you're talking about, but a weed smoker knows exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Get creative.
Colin, are we allowed to say dank? Yeah, so like if you just call weed dank or you call weed fire, I mean, bro, food is fire. Drinks are fire. This hat that we made in 2015 is fire. So I could be talking about selling you fire, and it could be a hat, that hoodie, my motherfucking glasses, or it could be weed. So you guys just got to be a little bit more creative and stop being so stiff. Stop being stiff creative. Stop being stiff marketers. You can see the look on my face, man. I'm frustrated with all you guys because I'm just tired of hearing the complaints, man. I'm tired of LinkedIn people bitching and complaining about, oh, cannabis gets different rules. Nah, man, cannabis don't get different rules. The same rules apply to people selling pharmacy drugs. Same people apply to selling people selling cigarettes. Same rules apply to people selling guns. It's even more strict now to sell guns. Like, y'all are tripping. Y'all are tripping. So, Mitch, let's go on to the next tip, man. Let's get on a positive note.
So yeah, so the next one is one of your favorites, YouTube. And
Oh,
after Google, for those that don't know, after Google, YouTube is the #2 most popular search engine in the world. But guess what? YouTube is owned by Google, so in a sense, it just strengthens that. And YouTube results will actually show up on Google. So you have a working YouTube, you kind of have a double benefit. You get access to your content, gets access to the #1 and #2 most popular search engines in the entire world. So publishing content on YouTube is incredibly important. And then to my point earlier, we'll talk about Instagram in a minute, of Instagram being one of my least favorites. So many people prioritize Instagram where there is very, very little discoverability and your content shelf life is very short, as opposed to YouTube where your discoverability, your potential to be discovered is very high and your shelf life is pretty much forever. So YouTube is a great place if you're publishing blog content, and we don't even do this, but if you're publishing blog content on your site, you could do a video on YouTube for every single post, linking back and forth, strengthening your SEO, and providing 2 different shots to be discovered on Google for a single search term or topic. Yes, there is keyword cannibalization. We don't need to talk about that right now because
we
we're
don't
trying
care
to do
about
a
the
little highlight.
cannibalization because the internet and cannabis is new. We don't care about that because take up as much real estate as you can. If you got 5 websites and you can have 5 slots on the #1 page, you need to do it. Don't be lazy. Stop cutting corners. We're lazy. We're cutting corners.
And YouTube. And also people think YouTube, oh, I need to get this and that and get a professional film crew. Working with film crews and having really high quality content and videos is great, but you have to depend on like, what are you doing? If you're building a video for your dispensary or your brand to live on your website, I'm coming to your homepage and I just want a big, sexy, attractive visual thing showcasing your brand. Yeah, that's the perfect time to go hire a film crew, get something cinematic, slow motion, make it look good on your website. But what if we're talking about YouTube? That type of content doesn't really hold as much weight on YouTube now. We're all creating and consuming content on one of, oh, there's my son, on these on a phone. So you can, this is really all you need to get started with a YouTube channel. You could literally film, edit, upload, and optimize all of your YouTube channel on this device in your
And,
pocket right
and you can clip it now. YouTube, and I sent you guys this email. I know you all didn't read this blog from YouTube's blog. Now you can go to the YouTube Studio app on your phone, go to previously uploaded videos, and clip the video for shorts on the YouTube Studio with SEO value, with the updates, the edits, and the clipping. You can straight up be in an app with an already previously uploaded video, clip it, repost it, and do the technical SEO. YouTube is dominating in terms of the actual technical SEO value. To truly help your business, Google and YouTube by far outweigh the impact that any other social platform has. Social, whether it's a search engine like Google or Bing or any Yahoo or any of those, or a social network like TikTok or whatever it is, those two combined are by far more impactful than anything else. Now, I do want to say that TikTok is the number one website in the world. So in the last year, okay, in the last, I'll call 18 months, TikTok did overcome Instagram, did overcome Google, did overcome all the other sites and become the number one site in the world. People are spending more time and energy and posting more on TikTok. Now, however, Google and YouTube combined still are number 2 and 3. So together, more impact. Additionally, TikTok does not have SEO capabilities. So when you post on TikTok and then you go Google search something, it does not register and come up the same because Google is a search engine and also social. So it's ultimately you need to have a strategy that incorporates what we call like 5 to 7 of these things. Whatever you can, like, your bandwidth is Google, right? Weed Maps, Leafly, website, and then they usually go with Instagram, which we don't advise.
and people struggling to what kind of content should I put on my YouTube? This is the formula right here. Who do you want to reach? What are those people searching? What are they curious about? What do they go to YouTube to search for to find a business like yours or the products that you sell? Literally just create the content that answers those search queries and do as much of that shit as humanly fucking possible. And that's fucking it. Film it on your cell phone. It's that.
What did we do? Let's
think of those. If you can't think of those questions that those customers are asking, you shouldn't be in business. And if you can't create it on your phone, you shouldn't be in business either.
A couple years ago, I said, Mitch, I feel like, all these brands are going to come online and they're going to, like, what were we doing at MJ BizCon? We would Google somebody on the floor and there would be nothing. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
We'd go to what was it? Kush, whatever, the Kush Marketplace. Remember that? We'd Google a brand, there'd be nothing there. These were small businesses that were just learning how to put their shirt and clothes on, get up and get dressed in the morning, And what we learned quickly was that, the articles or the YouTube videos could really take a lot of that traffic, right? Remember, when we first started writing all the reviews, right? It was to get traffic from Jungle Boys and to get traffic from Cookies because they didn't have strains for that stuff. It was just Leafly. Remember, we wanted to be the other link next to Leafly. Now, in terms of YouTube, right? If everybody here, whoever's watching, which thank you guys for hanging out. Shout out Brittany and Terry and everybody on Instagram over here. If you Google search something right now, you'll notice that there are a plethora of landing pages, whether it's like a website or a profile or whatever it is, but there's also YouTube videos. There's usually at least one. And when it comes to strains and brands, you definitely want to make sure that you've got a video there to show up. Otherwise, someone else's video is going to take that spot. So what we did is we said, we want all these strains and brands to Google themselves and to see us for sure when they look themselves up. And so we review products, not just to help consumers get a better idea and understanding of cannabis, but we did the YouTube videos in quantity to help us show up because Leafly stopped doing videos so long ago. So it's been interesting to step it up on the video realm and the video side of things, because for us, as our YouTube page continues to grow by about 150 to 250 subscribers a day, our website and the traffic there has decreased, not because of lack of content or lack of SEO, but people are just watching videos significantly more. You walk around, you blind ask 10 people, 10 bud tenders, 10 customers, what did you read last that helped you, that it might have influenced your purchase, and they straight up don't remember, but they all remember a video that they saw recently about some weed, some kind of advertising or some kind of education or something on Instagram. It could have been Burner, it could have been Wiz, maybe it's Leafly, maybe it's Weed Mouse, whoever, right? Jungle Boys, whoever it is, but they all saw some form of video content. And so I have to stress that on YouTube. Again, if you want to win at that, play the trends game and also play the searches game. If you specifically want to grow it, what I would say is low and slow, then the SEO technical game will definitely work. You'll get 30 to 50 views a video, 100 to 200, 300 if you're an influencer, can get shares and things like that. It'll be low and slow. Got to respond to the comments. You got to reply to the people. You got to engage. You got to really put time and energy into it, okay? You want to do it a little bit faster, make TikToks and do trends. Take those TikToks, turn those into IG Reels, take those Reels and put that on your YouTube. And now you've got viral content on 3 places. And so that
Taking
would be my
one piece of content, repurposing it for 3 platforms.
Yeah, so I would recommend doing that. The YouTube Shorts is definitely working for us. We've had a couple, I think we've had 5 million plus view videos, with one of them almost hitting 10. And in the last 4 days, we had I believe we're about to hit 15 million views on Instagram for our video of The Rock saying he would like to be Megan Thee Stallion's pet. Which
And
our demographic is fans of rappers, celebrity people that like pop culture and celebrity culture and hip hop. And The Rock and Kevin Hart were both in those videos, and so I feel like their demographics aligned with ours perfectly. Comedy, movie, all the things. So
absolutely. And so the next, the next topic that we want to talk about, the next channel, if you will, is Facebook. A lot of people can be turned off from Facebook because it is not friendly to cannabis. I will say it is far more friendly to cannabis than Instagram. Once you get at scale, once you get to the million plus followers, when we worked with influencers not in the cannabis space early, I remember we brought a couple influencers out to Seattle in like 2018, like early cannabis days. And we went to they did a live stream in a grow. One of these guys had over 1 million followers on his Facebook. His Facebook got deactivated like 2 or 3 minutes into the live stream at the grow, just showing cannabis plants. So there is a tipping point when you hit scale at any platform where you potentially are more at risk in the algorithm. But for us, our Facebook, we've been around since 2011. We started as a clothing company through hip hop events. So while we're forever banned from advertising on our Facebook has about 40, 50,000 followers, likes on it, but we routinely get 2 to 3 million plus impressions a month for our content on Facebook. And some of that content is like cannabis memes. Some of it is our unique articles on cannabis industry news. We even put some cannabis product reviews. We tame it a little bit, but is much more friendly than Instagram. And people say, oh, well, the older people on Facebook, are we not trying to reach people that are over 21? Like, isn't that the whole purpose of this industry? So who gives a shit if it's 28 and older? Or, it's very difficult to use anything without advertising to pinpoint exactly 21 to whatever. If we talk about TikTok, we are potentially talking about, a much younger audience, although older people are on there. Facebook definitely has value. There's definitely a way to work the system. For us, it is a mixture of sharing our own unique content. Some of it we don't necessarily tailor, but know it'll perform on there. Some of it we know it's not going to really reach shit just because of how it is. And then we mix in repurposing content and sharing viral content. Our Facebook page is actually, we shared the Pot Brothers at Law, the Shut the Fuck Up video that everyone probably knows. No, they were already had some followers. They already were on Instagram reaching people, but we shared that on our Facebook, or Joey specifically shared that on our Facebook. Got over 1 million views in one day, went mega viral. And honestly, shout out them. This is what started our relationship with them, and they credit us to helping springboard them go viral. But that springboard, although everyone knows them from Instagram, started on us resharing their content on our Facebook page.
Yeah, and to stack on top of all the game Mitch is sharing, you guys, Facebook has millions tons of people. Instagram, tons of users. LinkedIn, tons of users. Twitter, one of the longest runs, tons. Okay? All of these platforms have tons of users. If you want to get in front of those users, they are there. If you want to segment it down to a small population of people, whether it's Mitch is saying older people or Brittany, search engine for Gen Z, whoever, pick anybody. There is a platform. I'm sorry, all of the platforms have a ton of those people on them. Let's just go there. Now, there are just some that have more, and some of those people, most of them on each of these platforms, they're used to consuming content a certain way. You go to a store, you get the same experience every time from store to store. Starbucks, JCPenney, Macy's, so on and so forth, right? Safeway, Ralph's, grocery stores, right? It's similar things almost everywhere, okay? McDonald's. These platforms are all uniquely different with the same kinds of content uniquely created for their platform. So for the Pot Brothers At Law video to go viral, what did I do? I looked at what people were doing on Instagram and Facebook, and I took viral videos from over here and I put them on Facebook where I didn't see them that often. But with at the time, I had around 5,000 friends. Now I've removed a bunch of people that I just don't give a shit about. And so it's around 4,000, but that's enough people to get traction. And so as I shared something that was extremely relatable to my core demographic, shut the fuck up when you get pulled over. If you, Mitch, where did we go to college and what happened to a lot of those kids?
I mean, you got pulled over just for being young, let alone, obviously minorities got pulled over a lot more, but where we grew up, just being young was like a 1 in 3 chance you got a DUI. So you were getting pulled over all the fucking time, man.
Yes. So my 5,000 friends from college and high school, which were all 20 plus, 27 years old at the time, how many of us were most likely primed to share that video or to relate to that video? So it's a curated video for my people, and I had enough of them for it to get shareability, right? Or what we call virality, right? And get it really moving. And so the key here is that if you don't have a little bit of a network, or if you don't have a little bit of a following to propel your content up into that viral sphere, then you should hire somebody who you think can. And whether it's us, cool, or an actual set of influencers, even better. But you need to be able to identify that they've been a part of a plan in the past where something has actually gone viral. What we consider viral, this is where I know people always ask, well, what do you consider to go viral? Locally viral is anything less than 10 million views, or even local to the U.S. or local to North America, or local to your city or state, right? Or it could be anywhere between, like if you live in a small town, 50,000 views is crazy. 100,000 views is crazier. I mean, you get 250,000 or 500,000, you're tripping over that if you're from a small town. But if you're in a big city surrounded by a bunch of people that always get millions of views, that's not so impressive. You know what I'm saying? So what we always say is, again, pull content from over here, put it on the platform you want. Obviously, you need to make sure that it provides value or is attractive to the demographic you're trying to get in front of, or to the demographic that you've already built up. You got to know your audience and know what you have, and that's, I think, the key thing here. People are on TikTok now because it's quick, short form content, and there is a culture of it being funny. There is a culture and branding. People assume that it's going to be entertaining. YouTube does not have that. They don't have an entertaining branding to it, a culture to it. That might be what they do, right? But it's not automatically. It's like you go to some restaurants, oh, it's fun, we're going here. You go to other restaurants, oh, it's fancy, got to be fancy here. This is different experiences.
And that's, and there's 2 points. I want to build off that. And then there's one other thing, and we'll move to the next platform. What he's saying is like also understanding when you're on a platform, create content tailored for that platform and an experience on that platform. We all have brands we're trying to push. We all have content we're trying to push, but unique content. I always say this, right? Just in the music realm, as an independent artist, nobody's looking for music they've never heard before. They're looking for artists they know, familiar sounds that they know, songs they already know. Most artists get on from featuring with an artist that people know. Content is the same way. If you have content from a brand that is relatively unknown, or you're trying to make it known to new people, people rarely are going to say, oh, this thing I've never heard about, talking about some shit I didn't ask for, I'm going to watch that video. That's not how this works. You have to understand what the user is doing on that platform, what kind of content they want, how they engage with that content, and tailor, execute, and deliver in that. And another last second thing on
I want to
Facebook
add to
before we
that
move
too.
on. Facebook is one of the best platforms for taking people off platform. So
Yeah.
the user experience on Facebook, a lot of people use it on desktop because it's an older crowd, but even on the mobile app, you can scroll your timeline, click articles, click videos that open up within the app, and then you can click out and go right back to the app, as opposed to an Instagram or other things where it's link in bio, where I'm scrolling, I see something I want, I have to stop, click on your profile, then click on a link to go outside a platform. Nobody is on Instagram to then go off of Instagram, but when people are inside of Facebook, the user experience is very friendly to go to outside content. It is one of the best platforms to push people off platform, because you kind of still stay within platform. I don't think enough people talk about that or understand that. When you're on an Instagram or TikTok, most of your content is designed there to build brand awareness.
Yeah.
Facebook is much easier to take people off platform. And with that being said, we'll move on to the next one.
Hold on, I
What
want to
I
give them
said.
the quickest
Go.
scenario, because you said this key thing. Why would someone consume some shit they didn't ask for, they didn't even know they needed? So all these new strains, all these new products. Oh, I create a product in the weed industry. It's a solution for, it doesn't exist yet. Oh, I created a 5.5 gram bag. Oh, I do 7.2 gram this. Oh, hash holes with 1.8 grams versus 2. Whatever the thing is, man, whatever your justification is for creating some new product, recognize this and hear us loud and clear. If you didn't go talk to a bunch of buyers and then give them the chance to talk to their staff and then survey the customers somehow, or if you didn't survey the customers somehow yourself, not just 10, not just your friends, not just your family, like we're talking market segments here. We're talking true market analysis, true market research. If you're not doing things like that for 90 days, 6 months, a year, 5 years before you try to make something, you kind of deserve to fall on your face and potentially really fail and waste your time. You have to do your research before starting the business here. Guys, if nobody's asking for it, then there may not be demand. So you're going to spend your money, time, again, just learning to fall on your face. So be prepared for that. In this situation specifically, do your research, get a good understanding for what the market wants, get a good understanding for what the market needs, create something, and understand from a content perspective. Even then, if you've created something that you feel that that's new, that no one's heard of, good luck bringing it to market, because you're a nobody with a nobody's heard of it product. And you have to then tell the story, start from scratch, and that takes a lot. So not to kill anybody's dreams, but be prepared for the biggest challenge in this cannabis industry when you're introducing new strains, parent genetics nobody's ever heard of, and you're a brand no one's ever heard of, so on and so forth. So you come prepared, go above and beyond when it comes to content. Content, it ultimately can drive your ship and help people get a better understanding of you. And then you've got to apply all this game from the TikToks and the Facebooks and the unique this and how to do it over here and make this like this over there. Like, it's a lot, but that's why we do this. So you guys tap in. Mitch, what's the next one?
So the next one is Instagram. I did an earlier DTI where I talked about 3 ways to run paid advertising on Instagram. I don't want to go over I'm not going to go over that in depth. If you want to watch that, you can watch that video. But the 3 different realms were created. The 3 different routes are influencer marketing. That's a way to pay an influencer to talk about your brand. You're not running an ad in the traditional sense of using the targeting and the ad platforms and the audience targeting platform or tools, within the platform, but you're able to take an influencer who has a platform with a specific audience, pay them to put your brand or product in front of it. Another one is build a non-cannabis brand that aligns. I used in my examples cookies cannabis. I mean, cookies was clothing before it was a cookies cannabis brand. Fresh Baked was another example I pulled up on the screen in that video. They have Fresh Baked clothing. So they have their Fresh Baked cannabis page, and they also have their Fresh Baked apparel company where I have been served ads from, but it's still the same logo. So they're able to use Instagram and serve ads while getting their brand in front of exactly who they want to. Granted, it's not in front of trees of cannabis or nugs or jars, but it is their brand. It's presented in a way they want. They are able to leverage the advertising tools. And then the other way was to do brand or content brand partnerships. working with someone, whether it's like ourself or a Thizzler or another page that's not explicitly cannabis, you can do brand integrations. Maybe even it's a celebrity, it's a different form of influencer marketing, but do some integrations. Running your Instagram personally, I do believe it is good to be on Instagram. You should be anywhere where consumers are looking to just learn and see you have a presence, see you exist. I think you should be on Instagram. I definitely think that this industry, 99.9% of this industry, puts way more value and stock into Instagram than they should. I would almost everything we talked about above this point, I would put my energy into before I put in Instagram personally. But I know, Joey, I'll let you get into it. You created a nice model for one of our clients that we've since used for other clients, being that they were having such a hard time getting their content flagged, whether it was competitors or just stuck in the algorithm. They had a hard time. Anytime they posted story or anything, it was like their page got shut down. So you kind of flip the script and use it as a communication device. So you can expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, so if you've there and this, let's just start off with this shadow banning, right? People's accounts that they feel like their stuff isn't performing, they search for their account, they search for their hashtags, and it's gone. Now, I want to throw a big shout out to, I believe it was either the COO of Instagram or the CMO of Instagram, who hopped onto the Breakfast Club and was talking, I believe, with Charlemagne about how there is actually no shadow ban. I personally think he's not lying in front of everybody, as that video has millions of views. So for me, where this all points at is people are bad at Instagram. They are stubborn and they don't want to change. And it's easier to complain and be frustrated on Instagram than it is just to do it the right way. If you can win at TikTok, if you can do TikTok content and convert it to a reel for Instagram, it will be safe. So follow the rules that we established on TikTok and it will be safe. Now, oh my gosh, I can't show my glass. Oh my gosh, I can't show this. I can't show. Okay, great. So wear their merch in your video and go take the dab and then blow the smoke at the camera while the glass is off camera. There are creative ways here. Do something else. Dance around, point at some shit that's educational, whatever. And if you don't want to play that game, like, for example, I used to play Pokemon, the red, the yellows, the blues, the original ones. I didn't like the ones that came after that, so I didn't play it. So if you don't like Instagram and how it is on the status update, take that bitch and that energy somewhere else. Go do all the other things that we talked about in this video instead of Instagram, and you'll find greater success. Now, if you find that you are getting kicked off of YouTube, it's probably because you're telling people to go buy some weed somewhere. If you're getting kicked off off of a platform, it's probably because you're violating their terms of agreements and their rights. It's really as simple as that. So in terms of Instagram, follow the rules, ask us for any questions, Google how to be successful on Instagram with cannabis content, and my content comes up. We've got an article up there, a bunch of tips, explicit instructions for you guys to follow and use. So use that. Reels right now is the most popular thing. So look up go on the Explore page, watch a bunch of reels, look at the sounds that they're using, look at what the kinds of topics that they're doing and the skits. And I think from there you'll find that if you recreate those in your own funny ways, that you'll find success. And remember this: if you are a weed user, like I'm wearing a hat right now and I got a shirt on, you know what I'm saying? Strategically wear things, strategically have signs or have stuff placed that helps you get your branding across, that helps you get things done the way that you want. So, that's my thoughts on Instagram. Stop bitching. Start playing the game correct.
I will say to your point on shadow ban, I remember that on the Breakfast Club. I was in a clubhouse on Instagram with Instagram employees. It had nothing to do with cannabis, and they were talking about how the shadow ban wasn't real. And then they gave me a chance to ask, and I said, in cannabis, and then they immediately were like, shadow bans don't exist, but there are limitations on certain content. So they did acknowledge that without explicitly saying
that's my point though. That's my point though. Let's acknowledge that there are limitations on certain content. What are the certain types of content are explicitly outlined in the rules? They're on it's drugs, it's guns, it's all types of drugs. Let's just acknowledge that it's not just pills and powders. It's a bunch of the different types, and also pharmaceuticals. You probably can't run advertising on cigarettes and all these things. So limitations. This is just the same old shit that other people have to deal with. So I'm not
And the
here.
rule and the rules they say for cannabis, you cannot encourage the use of or the sale of, which is super fucking vague, and an algorithm decides. That is why, to me, Instagram is my least favorite platform, because that rule right there is not black and white. It's very vague, and then a computer is the one that decides it with no room for context. So that's why I personally don't like spending my time battling Instagram, because it's a battle that if you start losing, you're just never gonna fucking win. And boohoo, cry to someone. It does not fucking
We got a
matter.
question over here on the gram from the New York Cannabis Times. What is your definition of doing it right? The definition of doing it right is staying up on Instagram's blogs and all their newest releases and whatever they're testing and functions and doing that stuff. They want you to not post photos and carousels anymore. They're pushing reels. So when the news is talking about that, when their blog is saying to use it, when they're announcing a new thing, you use it. And that's when you ride that wave of their beta testing or their whatever it is, and you really play that game. So my definition of doing it right is playing each of these social media networks the way that they want to be played. They want us to play them the way that includes keeping people on the platform. Right now, Mitch, remember the data from Facebook videos a few years ago? Over 70% of people were watching videos with the sound off, meaning they had to put captions on everything. Remember
Mm-hmm.
that? So
Mm-hmm.
the simple adaptations, staying up on the data, staying up on the trends, playing the games, aka the platforms the way they want to be played, ultimately will help you see results. If one of every 10 posts you currently do is a reel and you go up to 8, your platform will most likely explode.
And to the point, these social medias, especially like Instagram, especially, is a communication device. Like LinkedIn. A lot of us in cannabis, I know we have quite a bit of view. There's some people that have been tuning in from LinkedIn. We have in the cannabis industry, we view LinkedIn as like, I can look up a company, I can find the people that work there, I can find the buyer, the marketer, the owner, I can add them, I can DM them. We are conditioned to see LinkedIn as this connection tool and this communicator, where
Mm-hmm.
somehow Instagram is the same exact thing, yet we see it as, oh, I just need to post content and then hope my impression shoots up. Where it's
Nope.
like, no, you can find the similar, like if you're a brand, you can find your competitor brands, find the people that are leaving comments under their photos and videos. Those are their most engaged purchasers. You can go add them and directly engage with them and potentially win them over. And in cannabis, it's not as much like, oh, you buy Connected, I'm going to steal you from Connected. It's like, you spend, if you're buying Connected indoor, you're spending $65 to $80 an eighth. I sell weed that's in that same price range. Could you consider me to try? And then now maybe you buy Connected and my brand. There's very few cannabis
Yeah.
consumers that simply buy one strain or one brand. We are all plagued by forever trying new flavors and new batches. So you can directly communicate, and it is difficult, but it is easy if you get a person on staff, or your social media person spends 2 to 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, doing super intentional friend requests, follows, comments, and DMs to start building that relationship and build that rapport. Instagram, it's difficult to do that because we look at Instagram and see vanity of people of 1 million followers or
Yeah.
100,000 followers. But if you just start communicating
And most of the
purposely,
buyers I know got less than 1,000.
if you
All the
communicate,
buyers I know got less than 1,000, except for
and
one.
that's the thing, you communicate personally and intentionally with the audience you want to reach, brick by brick, over 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years. If you're trying to be in this game longer, then that should be fucking nothing to you.
Yeah.
You will see leaps and bounds over time. Daily, it is a slow brick by brick, but shit, we come from the music realm, and there's
I did that
nothing
shit
more
on
brick
Twitter.
by
I did that
brick
shit
than
on Twitter
that.
in 2011 and 12, bro. I was on our Twitter back then, remember? In Houston in 2012, you know what I'm saying? Over that fall and winter period, I was on Twitter adding all the journalists, putting them in lists back then because I found out that you could intentionally find people like that. And that was on 2011 and 12.
It is,
We've done it on Facebook. We did it in groups through the EDM industry, right? We did it through Facebook group. Remember, we used to actually do it through Facebook events because if
yeah.
someone was hosting an event, everybody back then used to just care so much about how many people were attending the event. How many people could you get attending the event? So you knew that everybody was saying attending. So you could look through that attending list, remember, and you could friend
Mm-hmm.
request those motherfuckers. So I had 5,000 friend requests because back then we were going to a bunch of music festivals. We were going to Summer Jam, Paradiso, bunch of raves, and holiday festivals and shit. And so those 2 to 5,000 to 15 to 25,000 attendees that said they were going, man, I just would go add all kinds of people from that. And that's how I grew my profile. That's how I grew my Facebook to 5K and was able to help us launch that video. That's how we grew, our Facebook page with Respect My Region to 13K before it went viral. Our Instagram strategy is really based on engagement. We do follow a Gary V methodology. I forget what his is. It might be like 9x9 or 5x5 or something, but ours is 3x3 or 5x5, depending on who's doing it. That's 3 hashtags, 3 Instagram profiles, aiming to be the first comment with something valuable, insightful, or funny. And then over time and every day, that really adds up. Over 6 months, it's a bigger number, and it's impressive. And over a year, and over 5 or 10 years or 12 years, like us, that methodology is really impressive. And so we've been able to get to 20,000 a couple, on a couple platforms, 10,000 on a couple. We got 55,000 on Facebook, and it's a combination of engagement, content curation, and original content. We're not just posting other people's shit. We do create original stuff ourselves, and it's in bulk. It's not just one a day. You guys got to understand, we're doing 2 to 5 a day on certain platforms, in some cases 10. So it is a massive undertaking, but it can be done, and you can do it by yourself. Mitch, what's the next topic?
Yeah. On that, you thinking of social media as a communication device and not just a platform to put shit up and people come to you. Nowhere else in life that is. It is a communication device. Onto another communication device, text messaging and SMS. Again, we said at the start of this video, it's often referred to as literally the best ROI you will see in cannabis. That's obviously from a lot of the platforms that sell those services, but there is some truth to that. It's one of the few advertising or marketing platforms in cannabis where you can spend X and get back Y, and it's usually greater than your spend, and you can track it and trace it pretty easily. But there is the caveat of you need an opted in audience list to use these SMS platforms. If you do not have an audience list, if you have 5 people subscribe to your SMS platform, that's the only ROI you can get is out of those 5, potentially out of those 5 people. You need an audience list. But if you have an audience list, or you get a lot of customers coming through your dispensary, you can opt in them every single one at registration or new sale, and then leverage.
I'm gonna do 2 birds, 1 stone on this. I'm gonna do 2 birds, 1 stone on this. This is gonna be we're gonna talk about texting here, and we're going to do email, same, because it's a similar methodology with a similar cadence, right? And it can scale up, or it can be, however it works. So in terms of text messaging and email, let's talk about acquiring and growing people. So you need to acquire people. So in the dispensary and retail world, you need to work with a POS company or a text messaging group that allows people to opt in at the point of sale. If you're just a regular artist or a regular brand or a business that's out there in the world, maybe a restaurant, maybe a clothing company, every time somebody buys something from you at your little booth or at your restaurant, you need to ask them if they can opt in. It is worth it to grow your email list. It's worth it to ask somebody, hey, are you more comfortable giving me your email or your phone number so I can stay in contact with you and keep you involved with what I've got going on, right? So is there, can I get this? Can I get that? And what can I give you? Today I'm happy to give you a 10% discount. Today I'm happy to give you a BOGO or free pre-roll or whatever it is. But you guys got to understand, to gain someone's information like that is powerful. To gain someone's information like that can be reused and repurposed by your group to remarket back to them. And so it's imperative that you guys get a better understanding of text messaging and email and just growing that list. Again, give out a sticker, get their email. Give out a lighter, get their phone number. Don't text message them once a day or twice a day until you know what you're going to start talking about, until you know what they want, until you know the value or whatever it is. Now, email is a little bit more frequent. You can do it once a day if you really want to pound somebody or pound their group with it. We always just recommend once a week, and then build it up to twice, and then build that up to once a day. And then at that point, when you have enough content to fill that, or you can spend the dedicated hour to really craft a strategy, and you have people that are going to hit it, that right there will be extremely helpful. From a text messaging perspective, yeah, you need to get a bunch of people to opt in, then you can start text messaging them. We recommend birthdays, we recommend holidays, we recommend Mondays, we recommend Thursdays and Fridays. And those days right there really, really drive a lot of traffic, because it stacks a reminder on top of an already busy day. So it's a great opportunity to get someone new to come in, or get someone to come in and buy more stuff. The reminder stacks on top of someone's already, habit, their habitual purchasing. And the new reminder, like oh shit, thanks for reminding me, I need to go to the dispensary. and buy some weed because I'm out. That kind of stuff allows you to just introduce new products. So I always recommend Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays for introducing new products and stacking on top of. And then we also, obviously, in the email, we recommend, like I said, Monday and or Thursdays and Fridays to hit people before the weekend. Now, each of these things requires graphics, it requires photos, it requires an occasional video. We want articles. So make sure you have each of these channels crafted in a way to really hit the end user. With text messages, it's a flyer and a graphic, okay, list of products and promotions and all the compliance stuff, your license number, all the things, right? And then the text message thing, right? You want to send people to maybe your website or maybe to your weed maps, depending on the state you're in, right? Now, in the email, you want to provide education, you want to provide product opportunity, and maybe another valuable opportunity here, maybe a contest, and then some kind of video or something over here. There's 4 to 8 to 10 opportunities in email for you to really do it, but you want to keep it short, crisp, clean, right? Informative and easy for people just to click and watch, click and buy, click and enter their email in to enter a contest or whatever it is. Email and text message, to me, I look at it very similar because there's only so many places you can really get that stuff, and there's very much proven ways for how you can do it. Go to one professional sports game and you'll watch the biggest and best companies in the world doing that in real time. Simple
And
as that.
segment. That's one of the biggest things. If, like Terry mentioned it, the value of SMS is declining. There's overuse. I definitely agree that. I think more people are opting in, using SMS. More people are using it more frequently. We're getting into at least local election cycles where I'm now getting unsolicited things to vote for candidates that I damn sure would never vote for. So I know your phone is blowing up, but I'll say for, one of the examples like Marathon, right? Like the Marathon clothing company, I don't even know when or how, probably was shopped at their store one time. I opted into their text. They don't send it to me a ton, but I get a text from them. Sometimes I purchase on it or not, but I love that brand so much. Every time I see it, I'm like, hell yeah, Marathon. Like, it just gives me a good feeling, and I see their brand. So whether I'm acting on it
It's
or not,
the
I'm
reason
still
why
staying
Terry
engaged
and
with
other
that
people
brand.
don't like text messaging is because the brands suck at running the programs. They're doing it too much, too little, with very little value, and there's not a culture of excitement. There's not a culture of adding value here, and that's really where it comes down. Are you willing to create an experience that goes above and beyond to deliver excitement, to deliver value, to deliver affordability, maybe luxury, right? But one with that segmentation, they're bad. They're probably hitting Terry with something she doesn't give a shit about. They're probably doing it too often too, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, if your specials of the day are only on dabs, and we all know flower is the biggest category, but all the specials you're running are on concentrates of that day, exclude everyone buying flower that doesn't buy concentrates, because you are going to overuse and abuse those people. If you tailor it,
Yes.
wow, this is whether it's I'm in want to buy now or not, or I'm going to buy at 9 a.m. or today. I'm a concentrate person, and the place I buy concentrates is letting me know that there's a special on either the brand that I specifically buy or the product type I specifically buy.
Yep.
That is a very tailored experience that is not intrusive to the one's daily life who pick up their phone, and
Curate
it's a
something
tailored
better,
experience.
craft something more valuable. Like she said, be more intentional and deliberate with who you're trying to speak to and what you're offering to them. And that right there will always create some excitement. The marathon and Nipsey has a cult following. RIP and happy birthday. He has a cult following. Okay. He did that by being authentic, by being real, by speaking for a group of people, and then being intentional with his actions every day to truly represent and stay authentic with what he stood for and everybody that he was related to. And so be intentional with your promotions, be intentional with your marketing, be intentional with your communication.
And that is going to round it up. We're trying to do this on a quicker episode today, and we, we ran
We
over
tried. There's no way.
We ran over an hour. So I think there was quite a bit of game in there. Again, the way that we try and tailor these, if you're looking for that one-on-one understanding, we want to have some starting base, some context. So some people that might be super into marketing, those people might be like, dang, they're not really like tickling my fancy, really diving in on any of these individual things. We want to make sure that there's value at whether you're 101, 201, 301, 401, or you're in the MBA of digital marketing. We want there to be some understanding, some inspiration, and or at least some context. If you want us to dive deeper on any of these topics, you want to just bullshit and Fill us in. What do we not know? What are we saying inaccurately in your opinion? Do you want to debate it? Whatever. Always let us know in the comments. If you're on YouTube, there's a subscribe button underneath Joey over there. Please hit that. And then again, info@respectmyregion.com. If you have any questions, want to talk about this stuff, reach out to Joey Brabo or Mitch Pfeifer on LinkedIn with DMs. Again, if you want to talk about this, if you want to inquire about hiring us, whatever you want, we're here to help. We're here to be hired. We're here to move and shake and help this industry elevate. So let us know. This is another episode of DTI, Digital Trapper Institute. We'll be back with more content. I know we got a couple podcasts today, so stay tuned.